Welcome. I'm Marissa McGovern. I work at Klaviyo. I'm on the marketing team here, and welcome to the session of Culture Comes First, how Noble built a brand people want to join. We will have Q&A at the end if there is time, and we are accepting questions two ways. One, we have an app. You can submit your questions through the app, or you could also just raise your hand, and we'll try and get your questions answered. So our speaker today is Todd Melanie. Todd was the first employee of Noble. He spent his entire career in startups, including starting his first business when he was 19. And in the early days of Noble, Todd played the role of executing all marketing activities. He was doing social media, website coding, email marketing, advertising, customer service, managing sponsored athletes, and I can't even keep going because the list just keeps going on and on. So as the company scaled, he built a department to support these activities and deliver Noble's brand to the world in a powerful way. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce to you Todd Melanie.
Thank you very much. That was quite the list. I'm super excited to talk to you guys today about something I'm really passionate about, which is Noble and the culture that we've created to support the growth over the last 5 years. I'm the Vice President of Marketing at Noble, and Noble has been the biggest success of my career so far. But as she said, I've actually been a part of 5 other startups before Noble over the last 12 years. 3 of those startups were direct-to-consumer online digital brands, one of which was a surfing brand that I started out of my college dorm room, where I fulfilled product that I stored under my bed and used WordPress to build my first website. I take those learnings and those mistakes with me every day in my role at Noble, but here today with me in this presentation as well. I'll talk to you a lot about some clear data points that represent the growth, the results, and the productivity of our brand. But I'll start with the foundation of culture, teamwork, and trust that was built on. Has anyone here heard of Noble before coming to this conference? It's a lot more than I expected. Do we have any customers in the room? Even better. For those of you who hadn't, Noble is a footwear, apparel, and accessory brand for people who work hard and don't believe in excuses. So while traditional athletic footwear brands over the last several decades have been marketing that technology in your footwear will make you run faster, jump higher, or be stronger, at Noble, we do not believe that. We believe that it comes down to you putting in the work day after day that's going to drive the results that you want. We're a team of 55 based in our Boston office, which is actually less than a half a mile from here. We have a team in New York, in Columbus, and overseas. And our products are worn by the fittest athletes in the world. Olympians, NFL quarterbacks, CrossFit Games champions, and athletes in every sport that you're a fan of. I was the first employee of Noble and the original marketer on what is now a 30-person marketing and content department. Internally, the way we define our culture is with what we call the I am Noble mentality. I'm going to share with you a short video that represents what it means to have that mentality.
I am a husband, father, and entrepreneur.
I'm hard as nails, and I paint my nails.
I'm vulnerable, strong, and now a little bit scarred.
I was raised on work that makes you sweat.
I'm grateful to be a mom.
I'm always smiling and laughing.
I am always looking on the bright side, even when it's dark.
I believe in staying true to who you are.
If it doesn't challenge you, it won't change you.
I believe in teaching my children to believe in themselves.
I believe the ocean heals all wounds. I believe in attacking the mornings, even if I crash at night.
And challenging yourself every day.
I believe a day without movement is a day without life.
And working out of my comfort zone.
I believe in never compromising my core values and always being my authentic self.
I believe a person without purpose is lost.
In practicing what you preach.
Talk less, listen more. All you have is your word.
I like to do things the hard way.
I love being challenged.
I push my limits.
Be part of something bigger than yourself.
Mental fortitude outweighs physical strength.
Always have faith. Never give up.
I'm stubborn.
I am not perfect.
I am hardworking.
I'm driven.
I'm motivated.
I'm competitive.
I am coachable.
I'm resilient.
I am passionate.
I am noble.
I am noble.
I am noble.
I am noble.
I'm noble.
I am 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 noble.
So in the video you just watched, there are noble employees, there are noble customers, and there are noble sponsored athletes. Because at Noble, culture is like fitness. If you're not working on it, it gets out of shape. And as our team has gone from 3 to 10 to 30 to 55 in our office here, there have been times where our culture got out of shape too. And what we were able to identify is that our culture, just like every member on that team, is a living and breathing personality that if you don't pay attention to, you can lose track of it. And that's exactly how things started in 2015 when Marcus Wilson and Michael Schaefer, who are the two co-founders of Noble, led with trust and empowered me to do whatever, whenever, and wherever to get things done, bringing Noble to life. In the early days, that was learning to code Shopify, making sense of Google Analytics, still in progress, fall in love with Instagram, manage the personalities of our sponsored athletes, physically ship the orders, replying to customer service, and staying up all night executing midnight product launches, which is primarily how we bring new footwear styles to market. As the team went from 3 to 5 to 10, each individual was able to focus on a core competency and identify the tools in the software to scale our business. And with a small group of people, we were able to magnify our brand and deliver product and messaging to people all over the world. Customer service transitioned from a personal Gmail account to Freshdesk, now to Zendesk. Shopify became Shopify Plus, and now an entire development agency. Email moved from MailChimp to HubSpot, and now to Klaviyo. Social media moved from my iPhone to an entire team and software to deliver the customer experience that's required today. Inventory moved from the basement to our warehouse that was also our office just south of Boston, now to third-party logistics warehouses all over the world. And it was the tools that were available to us now that wouldn't have been available 15 years ago that allowed us to communicate internally and externally and allow high-performing individuals to become high-performing teams. Because I believe that high-performing teams are teams that can overcome adversity. And we've dealt with adversity. We still do, particularly as a rapidly growing brand that has no outside funding and has been fully bootstrapped. There have been several examples that I'll reference today. First one happened just last week. So as I mentioned, we had a midnight product launch, which is how we introduce new styles. And quite frankly, we completely misgauged the amount of inventory we needed to have on hand to satisfy the demand of our consumer base. And what happened was, by 12:03, the most popular style that we came out with was gone. And customers were pissed because we created a lot of excitement. We had a beautiful campaign to generate interest for these styles. And in just a few short minutes, the product was sold out. Good problems to have, no doubt. But at the same time, if you deliver a message that you cannot fulfill on, people are going to be upset, and they were. And we were feeling it from customer service to social media. And from 12 a.m. to 2 a.m., we completely changed over our marketing campaign to be a now available product launch to a pre-sale with those same products shipping a month later. It required phone calls to team members who were remote, working in the middle of the night, and quite frankly, a lot of stress and a high-pressure situation. It takes high-performing teams to overcome those sorts of things. On Black Friday of 2018, on our previous marketing software, it completely laid an egg, and we were not able to deliver any emails at midnight, which is the highest velocity selling point of our entire year. It took us 3 days and then a lot longer than that through holiday to recapture what was lost when we weren't able to send an email that was going to reach millions of people at the most urgent time of the year for us. And it's the team that we've built that's allowed us to overcome those instances and create the culture and the communication to sustain those times. And earlier, throughout this year, we work with a lot of pro athletes, but we've had the opportunity to sign 3 very high-profile athletes. One is Will Greer, who's the backup quarterback for the Carolina Panthers. One is Katrin Davidsdottir, who is the Icelandic CrossFit star, who is the 2015 CrossFit Games champion, the 2016 CrossFit Games champion, and she's currently on the cover of ESPN, the magazine. And Tia Claire Toomey, who is the 3-time reigning CrossFit Games champion from Australia. And when I sat down across the table with each one of them, as they had offers from billion-dollar companies that you guys have all heard of, what I spoke to them about was the same things that I just spoke to you about, which was culture, teamwork, accountability, and what it means to be on Team Noble. And that has been the foundation that has allowed us to grow. And as the team grows, you're allowed the latitude and you're required to become more productive and more efficient. And we've done that over time. Manual emails, when I was doing them, have become automated. Mass sends have become segmented. Photos became videos. Videos became stories. And stories became films. A huge part of our marketing strategy is lead with content. Show people what you would want to see if you were the customer buying the brand, and we are. I'll share a quick example of what that means at Noble.
How's business? Business is booming. Financially, how are we doing? It's not about the money. My employees would even agree.
We're getting evicted.
Man, I just wanted to take to the road. It was all about national expansion. And they always wanted rent, utilities. I mean, I'm just one with the earth. It's strange though, none of the other employees wanted to come. I guess they just don't love flowers as much as I do. Millennials are taking over right now. And what do they love? Food trucks. How about a flower truck? So I picked up this baby. 71 Ford. It's a classic. How's business? Business is blooming. I have lots of opportunities to sell flowers. But I don't just sell them to anyone. They have to love flowers as much as I do. That's impossible.
So Jared is one of our sponsored CrossFit athletes. And as we've gotten to know him intimately over the last couple of years, we've tried to leverage the ambassadors and the relationships we have to bring product to market in different ways. So as we had the bandwidth to expand from photos to videos, videos to stories, we challenged ourselves to think about how can we talk about product in unexpected ways. Now, what Jared does, because he is an elite high-performance athlete, allows us to tie the performance components of our footwear into a very unexpected approach to bringing a floral collection to market. And that historically is one of the best performing viral campaigns that we've ever had. We've had 2 seasons of it so far, and we plan to have another one as well. And as you become more productive, more efficient, are able to scale the things you're doing, you're also accumulating data, which has become a bigger and bigger part of our focus over the last 18 to 24 months. As our advertising budgets became really meaningful, it was critical that we made sure that we were spending money in ways that would support the health of our business going forward. And for us, we went deep on understanding what is the marketing engine that is driving customer acquisition. Like most digital brands, those things are lifetime value, the cost per acquisition, how much are you paying to acquire your customers? Are you doing that based on their average order value and being profitable at first purchase? Or are you doing it based on the lifetime value of your customers, which comes much later? We're looking at conversion rate and the percentage of new customers and several others as the brand has become more experiential. But these core items have been critical to driving the results that we've seen at Noble and understanding, more importantly, when you're not driving those results and what are the data points that you can pick out to find the flaw in whatever it is you're doing. And those results are what will drive growth. In 2018, we had visits to nobleproject.com from every country on earth, other than North Korea and Papua New Guinea. When we had Enter to Win campaigns, which is a lead gen campaign for people to enter to win a free pair of our new styles, on multiple occasions, we had over 250,000 people enter to win one free pair. On Black Friday, at launch, we were the highest selling velocity Shopify store on earth out of over 500,000 others. one athlete competing in Noble at one local CrossFit competition became the #1 athlete in the world competing at the #1 CrossFit event. And a marketing department of 1 became a marketing department of 30. And that started with culture, which led to trust, into communication. Communication led to teamwork. Teamwork enhanced productivity. That productivity drove our results. Our results fueled growth, and growth fueled new culture. And at Noble, culture comes first. Thank you very much.
All right, Todd, thank you very much. So we do have time for questions. First, going to check in the app. Colby, do we have any questions coming through in the app?
Nothing on the board yet.
Okay, so Bobby, you want to take, you can raise your hand if you have any questions, and we'll try to get to as many as we can.
So my question is, starting as a team of 1, it was just you doing all the marketing. I'm in the same position. It's just really, really overwhelming. So when you were able to hire your first person onto your team, what did they take over? Like, what did you throw off your plate?
Yeah, his name is Jed. He's sitting right there. Jed interviewed at the first warehouse in Hingham, and there was like literally the size of this room. There was nothing in it. We sat on 2 boxes and like talked it out. And at the time, Jed literally was helping ship orders and reply to customer service inquiries, because as we launched, thankfully we had customers. Those customers wanted product, so we had to ship them the product, reply to their inquiries, and apologize for the delays, because it was just he and I doing those things. And then ultimately, the next thing he kind of took over was the Shopify side of things. So helping me building the products, updating the journal or the blog that we had at the time. Those sorts of just really kind of frequent activities that I was able to work with him on in the early days. We have product launches like every week. So like changing the website, building out email, doing the new product pages. It's an extensive amount of work.
Hi, I'm curious about the Black Friday campaign. It's obviously working for you guys, but based on your customer base, athletes that are using your shoes, they're buying them for themselves. The Black Friday model is typically a purchasing pattern for gifts or for someone else. Why did you choose that, and why is that more important than launching a new product prior to the CrossFit Games or post CrossFit Games, or something that's more appropriate to your customer base?
Great question. So the reason it started was actually because in 2015, we just had leftover black material from previous shoes. So the idea was, let's just make as many of these black trainers as we can. It makes sense to launch them on Black Friday. Black trainer, Black Friday, bam. And then we did that, and we sold out at midnight on Black Friday, we had more people on the website than we had shoes produced. And we felt like maybe we're onto something there. So we kind of have rolled that forward over the last few years. But there's just a national economic impact of that weekend that is difficult to recreate in other times. Although we have a lot of really successful product launches, Black Friday has been the highest transacting one. But we're actually continuing that momentum this year, but we're making a brand story out of it. So rather than just creating a Black Friday campaign, we're creating a brand campaign that happens to sync up with a new product launch along those times.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
Okay, cool. I was just curious, in the early days, you obviously saw like explosive growth. Do you credit that most to influencer marketing, content, paid advertising? What would you kind of pinpoint as that #1 factor?
all of those things. I mean, quite frankly, we were a challenger brand that came into a relatively new and emerging market, which was the CrossFit space that we started in. And the only brand catering to that space at the time is right down the road, which is Reebok's HQ for anybody that's out of town. And the same month that we went to market, Nike got into the space as well, and they created their franchise to cater towards really elite level training. And we were able to quickly become the alternative brand in an athletic space that was dominated by Goliaths. And for us, we, and probably many of you in this room, like the alternative brand, like the challenger brand, or the new people that are coming onto the space and telling a different story. And a lot of people were willing to give us a chance for that reason. And we were able to add influencers, or influential athletes that validated us within the space. And then the urgency of our product constantly selling out was able to kind of create a snowball effect that we have rode.
As your brand is so focused on culture, how did you guys come up with the definition of the culture, or what it means? How did you come up with the brand positioning?
Like what a brand for people who work hard and don't believe in excuses?
Yep.
Yeah, that came from Marcus and Michael, who are the two co-founders. They had worked together at big brands previously and had a wealth of experience. And it was their mentality around building a brand that's no gimmicks, no BS, and we're not going to try to sell you something that doesn't actually exist. And the type of people that they are the type of people that connect with that message. And that was the umbrella that everything has kind of fallen underneath since then.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, first I want to say that I am a big fan of Noble. I'm a customer and I have my high top trainers on right now and they are great. I love them. But one thing that I have noticed signing up to your emails, that you guys don't ever run promos. And I just want to know, did you run promos back in the day, or have you thought about introducing that, or is it something that you just don't need for the brand?
Yeah, so we don't discount. We've never run a sale of any kind since Noble started. I think we really want to position our brand as a premium brand for people that really want to be a part of that community. And the fact that we've been selling through the inventory so quickly, thankfully we haven't had a huge need to discount the product because the urgency of it has exceeded the demand. But also there is the nature that when you discount it, people then wait for discounts and they wait for the next sale. And with the high velocity of new product launches that we come out with, it would erode some of that approach and that strategy by discounting it in other ways. We have done some things where like we'll donate a percentage of sales to the military or to other organizations, and that's something that we feel like is a bit of a win-win because we do want to support those places, but we don't do straight discounts.
Hi, so I'm most familiar from your brand because I feel like anytime I go to a workout class in Boston, every instructor is wearing Noble and they're posting about it on Instagram. So I was just curious if you could talk a little bit more about the influencer strategy, how you think about the results, and just kind of metrics you use to measure the success of those campaigns. With
like local trainers, or do you mean on kind of a bigger scale?
More locally than like your sponsored athletes.
Yes, so actually it's kind of the same thing. So the only people that we're giving product to or paying for are our 9 sponsored athletes. And we've been super, super selective to the ones that we work with because we want to go to the tip of the sphere and have them influence the local trainers and people who want to be a part of it. If they see Katrin or Tia wearing this product, it will influence their thinking. We are working on getting more kind of localized programs up and running. We haven't done any yet. But we do some seedings at times if we want to, do kind of like team events with an everybody fights or like things of that nature. So we definitely want to hook people up and help the community. But it's not a formal program. We've tried multiple times to get that going. Just with the size of our team, it's super hard to manage it and understand what the value is. We can understand the value with the top level athletes because it's easier to track those things. But on a local level, we're not quite there yet.
Hi, I have a premium brand, and I'm curious, do you consider, would you consider, I'm not familiar too much with your brand, but from what I see, it's an aspirational brand, meaning that it's a premium product. Do you offer specialty configuration for shoes? Is that something that you're looking to do?
No, not right now. We haven't done any kind of special personalization or fit, but we do, we haven't quite really needed to, quite honestly, but we do kind of try to leverage our customer service team to make sure that people have very particular needs or there's some reason that they may need like one size on one foot is different than the other.
Right, like if you have pronation issues or something.
Yeah,
like
like we can accommodate some things on an individual basis, but brand-wide, we haven't really looked into any of that stuff.
Okay, thanks.
Do you produce all your stuff in the United States?
We have apparel that's manufactured in the United States, and our footwear is made in Asia.
And do you see a problem with the new duties for your shoes? You're going to have to raise prices?
We don't know yet. We're still kind of evaluating things. I mean, the good thing for us is that we're in the same position as all of the other footwear brands that are in our space, but we're still kind of evaluating that and understanding it better.
With brand being such a big part of your focus externally with clients, how have you, can you talk a little bit about how you've made that focus as you've grown your department from you to 30 people? How do you keep that culture on the inside when it's such a big part of your external focus as well?
Like how do we like specifically do it with the team that we have in-house?
Yeah, how is, culture being such a big part of your brand for clients and why they want to be a part of Noble. How do you keep nurturing that culture internally as well as you grow at such a rapid pace?
Yeah, it's a challenge. I mean, we've gone from, the small team to the team that we have now. And I think one of the things that we've identified along the way is that because the culture is, a real presence once you join the team, people will come onto the team and they'll try to fit into the culture that exists there. And that won't work because as soon as they join the team, the culture has then changed. And it's their responsibility and the responsibility of the team that they're joining to embrace them and make them a part of improving the culture. And if there are, if there are issues that come up, and we talk about this periodically, which is if you're unhappy with something that you're seeing, it's your responsibility to fix it. You're a part of this equally to anyone else that's on the team, from the founders to an intern. You have the ability to influence culture. And that's the call to action that we give them and empower them to go do it and bring us along for the ride too. Obviously there's checks and balances and those sorts of things, but generally we have a really young and high-performing team, and they're the customer too. So they need to tell us, what do we need to do here to fix it? Because I may not see things the same way that they do, but if we're all paying attention and trying to work together on it, it will be something that changes. And the other part of it is the culture from 2015 or 2017 is very different than the culture is in 2019 or will be in 2021. And we need to take the success that we had in those early days and really cherish and hold on to the grittiness and the things that it took to get it done and tell those stories and share them with new people, but also be open-minded to the fact that as the team grows, the culture is going to change, and we need to be open-minded to what success looks like in the future as opposed to just the success that's happened in the past. At least that's my thoughts.
Todd, I know you said that you have an issue with selling out very quickly. Do you strategically keep inventory levels at an area where you would sell out? And if no, what would be your perfect length that the item is available?
In the early days, we didn't. We produced as many shoes as we could, and they would constantly sell out. As we've grown, we're getting more strategic with it. So we want to have evergreen product that's available for extended period of time. And we may switch up color slightly if it's a gray or a black or something like that. But then we'll bring in newer inventory that we specifically want to be around only for 30 days, 60 days, those sorts of things, so that it doesn't get stale and we can continue to do the things we do really well, which is the storytelling, the content, and bringing in new product. So it's both.
Piggybacking off of what you were saying about the inventory, I'm wondering if you guys use a certain app, because I know you've gone through the growing pains, and we do the same thing with the product launches. We've a lot like you do. Wait for it, sell a month of sales in one day, and then you're like, crap, and people don't buy. So I'm wondering, how do you predict future sales for certain colors, or is there a certain number you just say, screw it, we're ordering that, done, and we're ordering these 5 colors, or, you know, I just want to know your process.
Yeah, you just described it. No, we're trying to get better about that. So I mean, like I said, we know the customers, and we can make assumptions based on historical sales of colors that fall within like a particular palette. But we're trying to get more data-driven now to plan the business in such a way that we can be really dialed into size bell curves and those sorts of things. But it's absolutely a moving target. And one thing that we're sure of more than anything is that we don't want to overproduce, because then that puts us in a situation where we have to think about discounting or other things. So we'll typically err on the side of less if we're not sure. We'll wait for the product to prove it to us, and then we'll bring it back with a much higher inventory level.
Absolutely, like a relaunch. Cool. Do you use an app for that? Is there a
no.
No? Okay.
No. But we used to use Stitch Labs for inventory, and then it was then we just used native Shopify. Now we're on NetSuite.
NetSuite? Okay. Thank you.
Hey, thank you for an excellent speech. How do you segment your email list to get the right message to the right customer? What are your main groups of email receivers?
Yeah, actually, I probably wouldn't be the best person to answer that question for you, other than we started really simple when we started the segmentation process last year, which is who are the customers, who are not the customers, and let's find out why they're not the customers. And let's find out how we can keep these people as customers. And then from there, it was automation. So setting up inventory notifications that were going out whenever the product was restocked, as opposed to having to rebuild an email every time. Or personalization for people that, if it's their birthday or things like that, that we'll do things of that nature. But we're definitely kind of still working through it. It's all been tree mapped out by Joy and Hillary on our team, but we're working through all the execution of it now. But I still push for some full sends.
Beyond culture, right here. Beyond culture, how do you attract and incentivize these top influencers to work with you? How do you negotiate compensation? Yeah, considering especially that you guys are bootstrapped with a limited budget.
Yeah, so in CrossFit, it's a relatively new sport from a sponsorship level. It's not like the NBA or other areas. So the economic levels within CrossFit are more digestible than you would see from the big 4 major sports in the US. And those just kind of come down to social media reach, influence, and then market value. And because we've been in the space for 5 years, which is almost the whole life of sponsorships in CrossFit, we have benchmarks in there that give us some percentage of value. The other side of that, which is more the data-driven side of that, which is if somebody has 1 million Instagram followers and they're posting once a month, how many leads can we expect to get out of that? And then of those leads, how long will it take to convert them, to make sure that whatever number is negotiated with the athlete, that we'll be able to reclaim that and more over time. Recruiting them, honestly, has been a knock on wood. It hasn't been a challenge because within CrossFit we were extremely selective with who we work with. And then in the NFL, for example, we signed one NFL player this year, but we've got about 300 other NFL players that wear our product for free or in breach of their other contract because they love the brand so much. Now, there's the differentiation between like an on-field deal and the category we're trying to create, which is the training category for people who are in the gym and getting ready for their performance on the field. But we were really selective there, and the reason we worked with Will was because he came to us and was like, listen, I have deals on the table from Under Armour, from Nike, from Adidas. I don't want to be with those brands. I want to help build something. And the way he described what his goals were completely aligned with the conversations we had with the early CrossFitters that we worked with, which is they wanted to build something and wanted to be a part of something. They weren't just looking for a paycheck and an endorsement deal. And for somebody to sign with a brand that doesn't make cleats, he put his money where his mouth was, and that spoke volumes. But we also met with him and made sure he was a cultural fit, which is a part of the process when we identify who we'd like to work with.
Hi, were the founders CrossFit people, or how did they identify this market space?
Yeah. So Marcus and Michael are both CrossFitters locally. Michael was the global creative director at Reebok, so he was head of all product design in the early days when Reebok was getting into CrossFit. And Marcus also fell in love with CrossFit and had a background in strategy and finance and marketing. And when they left to start something they were passionate about, Noble was on the list, thankfully.
All right, so that concludes our session. So next up is a little bit of break and then a general session in the general session area. But one last round of applause for Todd Bellady.